sense organs, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. If bhikkhus or bhikkhunis meditate on objects of mind as objects of mind according to these instructions, then they know how to dwell in the practice of observing objects of mind as objects of mind in the 6 realms of consciousness. Further, bhikkhus, when the practitioner is meditating on objects of mind as objects of mind, if they see sensual desire in themselves, they know without any doubt that sensual desire is there. If they see no sensual desire in themselves, they know without any doubt that no sensual desire is there. If a sensual desire which has not arisen formerly arises now, they know this without any doubt. If a sensual desire which has arisen formerly now comes to an end, they also know this without any doubt. The same is true of the 4 other obstacles: anger, torpor, agitation, and doubt. If bhikkhus or bhikkhunis meditate on objects of mind as objects of mind according to the details of these instructions, then they know how to dwell in the practice of observing objects of mind as objects of mind with regard to the 5 obstacles. Further, bhikkhus, when the practitioner is meditating on objects of mind as objects of mind, if they see in their mind the factor of awakening, mindfulness, they know without any doubt that mindfulness is there. When mindfulness is not present, they know without a doubt that mindfulness is not present. When mindfulness, which has formerly not been present, is now present, the practitioner also knows this without any doubt. When mindfulness has arisen and is still present, is not lost, does not decline, but increases, the practitioner is also aware of all this. The same is true of all the other factors of awakening: the investigation of dharmas, energy, joy, ease, concentration, and equanimity. This is how the practitioner is aware of objects of mind as objects of mind, both the inside of the object and the outside of the object, and establishes mindfulness in the object of mind with understanding, insight, clarity, and that is called being aware of objects of mind as objects of mind. If bhikkhus or bhikkhunis meditate on objects of mind as objects of mind according to these instructions, then they know how to dwell in the practice of meditating on objects of mind as objects of mind with regard to the 7 factors of awakening. After the Lord Buddha had spoken, the bhikkhus and bhikkhunis who heard him teach were delighted and endeavored to carry out the practice. We will return to noble service or noble silence until service begins. At this time, I'd like to invite up our incense lighters. And on the inside of your books, we have it's a empty or a page that's been inserted, and that's our incense offering that we will chant together. And when we offer incense, truly think about what offering part of your mind. What can you offer today in the way of your mind to help others see the equanimity in the world? And together we say, in gratitude, we offer this incense throughout space and time to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May it be fragrant as earth herself, reflecting careful efforts, wholehearted awareness, and the fruit of understanding slowly ripening. May we and all beings be companions of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May we awaken from forgetfulness and realize our true home. Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you all. Just taking it in. All the beings in the room. Courtesy announcements. Just a reminder to, if you're going to move throughout the temple, try to walk along the back there if you can help it. Obviously, in your front row, do your best. Want to just make sure that we're keeping the front clear for those who are watching online. If you need to use the restroom, we have 2 restrooms just on the other side of these curtains. We also have one downstairs. If you need any water, there are cups of water there. We just ask that you drink the water outside of the temple or grab a quick sip over there and not bring it into the Dharma hall. I think I've covered everything. Oh, that's right. We chant at an upbeat tempo. So we're not trying to make this sound like a funeral dirge. Really want to bring life into all the different chants that we're going to be doing today. They're meant to bring you closer to enlightenment. And that's a good thing, right? So you want to chant like that. Okay. So at this time, we can stand up and silently greet each other. All right, let's get our chant books and let's put our mind on the 3 refuges. I go for refuge to Buddha, my deeply awakened mind, the living source of understanding and compassion, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to Dharma, the path of mindful living, leading to healing, joy, and enlightenment, the way of peace, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to the Sangha, the loving and supportive community of practice, realizing harmony, awareness, and liberation, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I am aware that the 3 jewels are within my heart. I vow to realize them. I vow to understand living beings and their suffering. I vow to cultivate loving kindness and compassion, and to practice joy and equanimity. I vow to live simply and sanely, content with few possessions, and to keep my body healthy. I vow to let go of all worry and anxiety in order to be light and free. I am aware that I owe so much to my parents, teachers, friends, and all beings. I vow to be worthy of their trust, to practice wholeheartedly, so that understanding and compassion will flower, and I can help living beings be free from their suffering. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. And on the next page, you will see the Heart Sutra. The Bodhisattva of great and compassion from the deep practice of prajna, paramita, perceived the emptiness of all five skandhas, and delivered all beings from their suffering. O Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is emptiness, emptiness form. The same is true of feeling, thought, impulse, and consciousness. O Shariputra, all dharmas are empty. They are not born nor annihilated. They are not defiled nor immaculate. They do not increase nor decrease. So in emptiness, no form, no feeling, no thought, no impulse, no consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or objects of mind, no realm of sight, no realm of consciousness, no ignorance, nor extinction of ignorance, no old age and death, nor extinction of them, no suffering, no cause of suffering, no cease from suffering, no path to lead out of suffering, no knowledge, no attainment, no realization, for there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva holds on to nothing but prajna, paramita. Therefore the mind is clear of any delusive hindrance. Without hindrance there is no fear. Away from all perverted views, one reaches final nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future, through faith in prajna, paramita, attain to the highest perfect enlightenment. Know then the prajna, paramita, is the great dharani, the radiant fearless mantra, the utmost supreme mantra, which is capable of allaying all pain. This is true beyond all doubt. Proclaim now the highest wisdom, the prajna, paramita. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhisvaha. Prajna, paramita, hridaya, sutra. Okay. Okay. Ooh. Good morning, everyone. Good to see you on this beautiful Sunday morning. Had some rain, which was nice. because it meant that I didn't have to water the garden. So today I am going to be talking about the Kula Shunyata Sutta, which is found in the Majjhima Nikaya, number 121. This is known as the Shorter Discourse on Emptiness. And in this sutra, they're in this abandoned palace. And it's a palace that was donated by one of the Buddha's most prominent female lay practitioners. And when they're here, the Sangha is at this place meditating. Ananda goes to Lord Buddha, and remembers this teaching that he taught about emptiness. And so he goes to him and he sits down next to him and he says, "Can you confirm to me what you taught?" And he asks, "Did I hear and remember and understand you correctly when you said, I often abide in voidness?" And Lord Buddha reassures him that he did. But why would Ananda ask him to teach this again? Now remember, Ananda at this point hasn't gained enlightenment. He didn't, as the sutras go, he didn't gain enlightenment until after the Buddha had passed. So maybe he's discreetly asking the Lord Buddha to help him collect the karma to eventually see emptiness directly himself, by requesting to listen to him again explain how to abide in emptiness directly or in voidness. And so Lord Buddha begins explaining voidness using this abandoned palace as an example. And he says, "This palace, once full of gold and silver, assembly of people and animals of all sizes, is now empty of those things. For the monks who now live here, they do not perceive this palace as what it once was. They place their attention not on what it was, but on what it is, a place to practice Dharma." And I really love this section of the sutra. It's right at the beginning. It's the very first thing that the Buddha is teaching to Ananda before he goes into depth, as if like asking him, okay, well, this is the first layer of emptiness. Now let's go deeper and let's go deeper and let's go deeper. But this really does sum it up very well in terms of what we as lay practitioners need to hear. And when he says they place their attention not on what it was, but what it is, a place to practice Dharma, he's gently reminding us that it's in our everyday experience that we can witness emptiness, and electing to choose to fill each moment with the reality that we want to project. So we're being taught to lay down our preconceived notions, these ones that normally produce our current experience of reality, or the way that our mind is projecting all of our experiences onto the world around us. To be honest, all of that carries way too much baggage. So it's probably better to take a step back and observe that. And that can be kind of difficult. So we're going to kind of talk through that a little bit and see what that means. See what it means to observe the emptiness of every aspect of our worldly experience, because that's how we practice Dharma. And so as the sutra goes, it continues to examine the various perceptions that we experience. Those that are initiated by our eyes, our ears, our nose, our tongue, our body, and our mind. Very similar to the bell chant that we chanted this morning, as well as what we chant every Sunday in the Heart Sutra. And so think about how the sense consciousness goes to bring information to this organ that we have in our skull called the brain, where the mind gathers this data and then spits out a response. So I brought something. What is this? What? Pot. Great. Cool. You passed the test. Okay. So let's just examine this pot, right? Okay. First, our eye isn't what determines the experience of this pot, even though you see it. Your eye is just picking up on the shapes, the colors, the reflections, and gathering all that data. And then it spits out pot, right? Because that's what you've been trained to see, a pot, okay? Now, hang on, I think I went a little further. So adults, especially in the Western world, we might always seem to agree that this is a pot. Yes? Okay. It always appears to exude something we might know as potness. Okay? Now, we think that everybody will experience, most often we think everybody's going to experience this as pot. Okay? We don't usually second guess and go, oh yeah, no, somebody would not think of that as a pot. We're like, no, it's pot. I'm very sure it's pot, right? Don't try to tell me it's anything else. It's a pot, okay? But what were to happen if you were to give this to Curious George? He might do something like this. Is it still a pot to Curious George? Okay. How about an 18-month-old who you're trying to keep entertained in the kitchen? It's not a pot, right? So is it always a pot? Is it or isn't it? Now, imagine this pot filled with boiling water on a stove. We could apply the same logic to this situation, okay? To those of us that perceive a hot pot of boiling water, we might perceive danger and react with caution, okay? We might also perceive the boiling water with the reaction of adding dried pasta, especially if you're Italian, like my husband. But would that look the same to a toddler? Why do we caution a child about the dangers of a hot stove? Because they haven't learned how to perceive it the same way that we do. Just because we see it as a pot of boiling water on the stove doesn't mean that all beings do. And so recognizing the emptiness of a pot of boiling water, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, okay? It just means that it doesn't exist from its own side, okay? And that's a very basic teaching on emptiness. It does not exist self-existently from its own side, okay? It just, because if it did exist from its own side, no matter what, every single person who ever looked at this thing would automatically go, oh, pot, yes, pot, pot. We'd all agree, pot. You wouldn't find a single being, Curious George included, who didn't think that this was a pot and would use it for what we assume a pot is being used for, okay? Now, it's because of emptiness, that's why it's changeable, okay? So it's easy to get mistaken here to think that emptiness means that something doesn't exist or that something it's nothing, okay? But if you really think that the pot doesn't exist, right? I challenge you to put your hand in the hot boiling water and find out, see what happens, okay? So why is this important? Why does emptiness matter? Without emptiness, things are not changeable. If things were empty and we viewed them as existing from their own side, if things weren't empty, if things weren't empty and we viewed them as existing from their own side, nothing would matter. Imagine if you never changed. You'd never grow old. You'd never experience a sunset. And while you'd never experience anger, frustration, or sadness, you'd also never experience love, compassion, or joy. See, emotions are changing. They're not unchanging. If the pot was self-existent, it would be unchanging, but it's not. It's changing. Now, when we learn things, that's also changing. Our knowledge is constantly upgrading, okay? But if it wasn't changing, you might seemingly already know everything. But this provides an obvious hole in the logic, okay? How can you know things that are changing if your knowledge never changes? And while this opens up a whole other conversation about omniscience, I have to stick to the concept that we're working with, which is emptiness. Those are just some fun brain teasers for you to think about that Lord Buddha gave us. So emptiness helps us understand that things do not possess an inherent existence from their own side. Everything is interdependent. and exists in relation to other things. A pot cannot be a pot without all of the things that make it a pot. And this perspective challenges the notion of a permanent, unchanging self or essence in any phenomena. And this aligns with the core Buddhist teaching of anatta, or non-self. It's only by realizing that objects and experiences lack an independent, intrinsic nature that we can see this incredible thread of interconnectedness of all things. And now emptiness does go much deeper than this. This is a very basic teaching. And it does take a lot of studying and practice to have this elusive, direct perception of emptiness that the Buddha attained. The direct perception of emptiness isn't something you think you've had, as so those who have had it say. It's really an unmistakable experience that removes all doubt and eventually leads to the full cessation of all suffering. This is what transforms you into an arhat. And it's part of the process that all Buddhas travel on. And see, in the Heart Sutra, it teaches that our perceptions are often preconceived ideas tainted with self-existence. Our eyes see a combination of shapes and colors, delivers that information to the mind, and then it spits out the information pot, only because of the preconceptions we've made about those shapes and colors. And the reason meditation is such an important practice is because it helps us observe these habitual preconceptions and judgments, allowing us to experience things without our assumptions. And if we can practice examining everything we have ever known as ultimate reality with logic, we can open our minds to see the vast spectrum of possibilities before us. Pot, hat, drum. This goes back to what the Lord Buddha said. They place their attention not on what it once was, but what it is, a place to practice Dharma. Imagine doing that for every single sensory experience that your mind ever projects. It's like moving backwards, going inwards, as we say in some traditions. So over the Memorial Day weekend, my kids and I were gardening. We were preparing our garden for the growing season. And as we were digging these holes for the new plants, we unearthed some worms. And my 3-year-old Roisin, she was fascinated, and she like was looking at them as if they were her long lost friends that she hadn't seen in such a long time. And I was telling her, we got to cover them so they need to be in the dirt so they don't dry out in the sun. And so she begins gently covering them with this moist earth to protect them from the sun. And then she starts singing them this lullaby as if she's putting them to bed. And I have it on video if you want to see it after service. It's adorable. And so out of all the realities that I got to experience that day, I got to experience the one where I was able to see a paradise filled with a multitude of Buddha beings, from my daughter to the worms. Every single one of them, because of emptiness, I got to see them as sacred, holy beings offering me a teaching. It wasn't just a worm. It wasn't just a 3-year-old playing in the dirt. And the only reason that I was able to experience that is because of the teachings on emptiness. Because we plant seeds in our mind for our future experiences, those are what ripen and force us to experience the world as we've decided. We project our reality. We project if this is pot, if this is hat, if this is drum. It's your responsibility. And so In every moment, no matter what, it makes joy, compassion, kindness, equanimity available to us. And so when we catch ourselves before our habitual mind reacts, we are practicing reacting from a place of emptiness. This enables us to disengage from how our mind habitually processes experiences based on past perceptions, and instead transform that into good karmic actions that will yield beneficial results in the future. Now, I could have chosen to have planted annoyance and frustration when my daughter was playing with the worms. Or I could choose to plant patience and compassion. And what emptiness does is it provides hope. When I plant a small carrot seed in my garden, if all of the right conditions are applied, I will have carrots in my future. If I transform my knee-jerk reactions, and maybe not even just knee-jerk, how often do we put ourselves first? How often do we think that things are happening at me? And instead, we forget that they're coming from us. We project pot, drum, hat. So why is it different when we think that something else is coming at us? We're the one projecting that. We're projecting the experience of somebody yelling at us. We're projecting the experience of somebody being annoying. We're projecting the experience of somebody disliking me. Who's it really coming from? Do they actually inherently always will permanently forever dislike you? What happens when they change? What happens when they die? Do they still dislike you then? Where is the dislike coming from? It's not coming from out there. It's coming from inside of you. So you have to understand why emptiness works, and you have to want to change your reality. It's like knowing that smoking damages your lungs, okay? And you know that, you understand it, you get it, and you go, yeah, I don't really want to have that happen anymore, so I'm going to stop smoking, okay? Now, if our experience really is empty, what are you going to fill it with? You have that choice, and you also have the personal responsibility. What are you going to fill it with? Now, if you could plant anything in the garden of your mind today, what would it be? Maybe it's planting the seeds for a strong and healthy body. And again, you've still got to apply all the conditions to make that seed grow. It's not like planting it into the cement and hoping that things will happen, okay? You still have to do work, right? You have to plant it in healthy, nutritious soil that will support that for your future, okay? Do you think it would be possible to plant the solutions for world hunger? How about peace for all beings? And the beautiful thing about emptiness is that nothing is too big or too hard when you have practiced the paramitas that guide all bodhisattvas. Nothing exists from its own side, including doubt. And it's only because of emptiness that I can see those worms as bodhisattvas and my daughter as my most holy teacher. And it's how I can see each and every person in this room as one of my greatest lessons. Emptiness matters because it offers a profound reorientation of how we perceive and interact with the world. And practicing with emptiness is the key to transforming our understanding of reality and our approach to life, which leads to greater peace, greater joy, and equanimity. Emptiness means that we can stretch our capacities for compassion further than you may have ever thought possible. And yes, our body will age, our opinions will fluctuate, and the world around us will continue to transform. But it's only because emptiness exists that we can live out these incredible experiences. So what are you going to fill your emptiness with? Please prepare for meditation. I'll walk you through the 7 steps of sitting. This will be a guided meditation on emptiness. Whether you're sitting in a chair or on a cushion, one of the most important parts about our sitting practice is having a straight spine. If you're sitting on a cushion, allow those knees to sink a little bit lower than your hips. And if you can, try to prop up your seat in the back to help keep your pelvis kind of tilted forward, and it helps the alignment in the spine. Shoulders should be level with the floor. Chin should be parallel with the floor as well, and just slightly tucked in. Belly button should be pulled just slightly into the back towards your spine. The tongue should rest at the back of the teeth. The eyes should be relaxed, and if you haven't closed them yet, go ahead and close them. And the crown of the head should be pulled up tall. Hands should rest comfortably in your lap in whatever way is the most comfortable for you, whether right hand in the left hand with thumbs lightly touching, or hands palm down or palms up on your knees. And giving us an opportunity to ground into our seated posture, we're going to complete a quick body scan, starting at the tips of your toes, relaxing the soles of the feet, allowing the ankles to soften, moving up through your calves and your knees, letting go of any tension that might be there. Release any gripping in your thighs, or maybe even in your hips. Allowing that lower back to soften, but again, just keeping that belly button engaged. Allowing the shoulders to sink towards the earth, and the arms to relax. Release the jaw if there's any clenching, and invite some softness into the area around the cheeks and the eyes. And allowing your body to just ground into your posture. This is a good time to make any adjustments if you notice that you're experiencing any discomfort. And we're going to complete about 10 rounds of breathing here. You can count them in and out as one. Allow the mind to drop the counting or to come back to the breath if your mind started to wander. And understanding that this mind can be filled with anything that we choose, we're going to investigate the emptiness of a car. And examining this car in your mind, you might think, that's a car. But observe what about it has the quality of carness. Is the carness in the four wheels? Is it the engine? Maybe the headlights? Not quite. If you were to remove the car or the wheels, would it still be a car? If it was just kind of floating in space, would it still be a car? Continue to observe the projection in your mind of what a car is and what part of the car actually contains the carness. Think about where the idea of car is coming from. How do we identify this hunk of metal and rubber and plastic in the right combination as car? Does car permanently come from its own side? Or does car come from the projection of your mind and all of the things that it's learned or perceived to be a car? And if we really think about it, the only car that actually exists is the one in your mind being projected onto metal, glass, and plastic. Carness is the quality that projects from our mind onto the interconnectedness of these materials. Bring to mind a neutral person, someone that maybe you don't know very well, could even be in this room. Maybe it's the person you saw at the coffee shop before you came. And begin to apply this same observation and investigation of emptiness onto this person. Will they always permanently be as the way that you saw them or perceived them? And do those qualities come from them, or do they come from you? Now, dropping that experience with this neutral person, bring to mind someone that you have trouble with, someone who is challenging for you, someone you often find yourself maybe disagreeing with. And notice maybe that thing that you disagree on, that thing where we constantly think that they're wrong for experiencing the world this way. Where does that projection come from? This isn't about identifying what is good or bad. This is just purely identifying where our projections come from. Now think to yourself, the projection that you hold, is it changeable? What would happen if you were to replace that projection with compassion, with understanding, with patience? How might the projection change? And gently understanding that this is a practice and nothing will be perfect or the ultimate understanding of where you might want to be. It takes time to grow and perfect. patience, compassion, joy. It takes time to step away from our projections as we think are permanent or coming from their own side. And it's important to not only allow ourselves this grace, but to extend that grace to others. We all get caught by our self-existence. It's a normal, natural, human experience. And take that projection of compassion and kindness and joy and equanimity, and this time place it on yourself. Where could you extend a little bit more of that in an area of your life where there might be doubt, frustration, or annoyance? And whenever you observe the practice of emptiness, it's considered one of the deepest wisdoms that you can place your mind on. And knowing that you are actively training your mind to see the world in this way, you are creating one of the most beautiful experiences for you and others. And that accumulates a massive amount of good karma. And knowing that generosity is one of the perfections that we practice, give away all of that karma, all of that goodness to people in your lives. Dedicate your efforts to them. Dedicate your efforts to the worms in the garden. And gently coming back into the room, giving some movement into your hands and feet. Gently open those eyes whenever you're ready. Welcome back. If you have any questions about today's talk, I'll be around afterwards, happy to talk about that. Or if you're online and you'd like to shoot me an email, love to talk to you about that a little bit more, help with any questions or direct you to any material that might help. Or if you're interested in being able to find this sutta online, I can help with that too. Moving into our joys and concerns. Now is the time for you to share what's going on in your life with your Sangha if you feel comfortable, or allowing us to celebrate with you.
I can go first. My name's Changosu. I just wanted to say thank you to Peyton this morning. He saved the day and nobody even knew it with the live stream on Zoom and YouTube. So thank you so much, Peyton. And every other volunteer as well.
Hi, my name is Ellen. I have an update on our Sangha member, Ben, who is now several days post stem cell transplant. And this stage he's in right now is called the low point for a good reason. It's rough. But he's on meds that will guide him through, and all eyes forward to engraftment, which means when those new stem cells get in there and take hold, they'll do their thing. If you'd like to follow Ben's journey, he's on Caring Bridge under Ben Rudy, Rudy. That kid is inspiring.
Yeah, my name is Craig. Grateful to be here. When we were reading as a group, or chanting the form mindfulness thing. So this is my experience. Beginning, I've never heard that before. So I'm like, I'm just going to listen to, I don't know your name, but like listen to you do it. And then I'm like, I'll just allow myself to be vulnerable and just join in, right? So many things took place during that like experience. Like, all right, so I start doing that and I'm a part of it. And all of a sudden, like this awareness just keeps expanding. Like I'm aware of how much joy am I experiencing through this, what you guys are doing. Like I'm making sure my voice is like following your voice, and then there's adjustments, kind of laughing at self when they're off. And it's really hard to explain because there were so many things that I was aware of all throughout of it, all of it. And it was just like, I am just in a constant stream of joy. And it was like, and then it's even like now I'm shaking because it was just so awesome. And I'm like being really vulnerable in that. And then after that, I cannot stop clinging to how awesome that experience was. There's no meditation. And then even behind that, there's like, it is perfectly okay that this is where I'm at. And just watching the thoughts and like clinging to thoughts. This is mindfulness. Like it was just such an extremely awesome experience. And then earlier this week, another joy that I set an intention on trusting myself. I'm at the bus. And this, I think, that relates to emptiness. I'm at the bus, another being sits down, and he starts talking about God. And I don't know what's going to happen, so I'm just completely open to the experience and just asking me all these questions. I'm sharing my experience and where I'm at. And it was such a liberating experience. Instead of feeling attacked, let's just be present with this being. And like, it was so liberating. And then through that, like, I think, I don't know who was teaching the lesson or what. It was like back and forth. And then I had to get on the bus. And he said something about being only one path, and that's his thing, and that's perfectly okay. And then I self-reflect, and I'm like, oh yeah, I just set that intention of trusting myself. Oh, he's right. There is only one path. For me, it's my path. I'm on the right path. It was so freeing and like allowing that emptiness, that space to like self-reflect. I don't know if this is coming. Yeah, this is just my experience. And it's just so much joy in like that, in that freedom, in that emptiness space. So that was my rant. I'm super excited to share.
So today is my dad's birthday. He passed a little over a year ago. So there's still grief there, but I'm just grateful to be here. And I'm just really grateful for how stabilizing this Sangha has been through such a crazy year, so much change. And yeah, just showing up here every week, knowing that like what our aim is to see the light underneath whatever crap we're coming in with. And it's just over and over again helps me remember to be compassionate with myself, because I feel that in this space. So I'm just really grateful for all of you. Thank you.
I wanted to say thank you for all of the helpers who helped set up this morning. It was really great. We have an online list where people can sign up, and it was full this morning of names, people who willing to volunteer their time and practice Dharma in that way. to light incense, to greet, to clean bathrooms, to do the trash, to set up the Dharma hall, and how much I appreciate all of the people that do this every week. And if anybody's interested in having access to that sheet to practice Dharma for themselves and to help the Sangha, you can always come and see me. But thank you to everyone. I appreciate you very much.
Hi, I wanted to share a joy and a concern. Joy very similar to other people's in that I just really happy to share the space with everyone every Sunday or every Sunday that I make it. And a concern I wanted to share is that I think that at least some of us within the Sangha could add some love and compassion to our city and our community by participating in some of the interfaith activism that goes on within the city, some of the work towards letting people know about what's going on in Palestine or anywhere else in the world. I just think that the Sangha as a whole, or even bits of us, could really add a lot to the activism space in Grand Rapids. And so I just wanted to share that for anyone to think about.
Are there any online? Let's go ahead and take a moment of silence to hold space for those joys and concerns. Announcements. All right. I'm not sure what's going on with the online meditation group. If you are interested in joining, contact somebody on the Dharma Council and we should be able to help you. I think they're deciding on a new time because it conflicts with Shinkyu and he was going to lead it over the summer. So I'm not sure what the time decision has come to, but if you are interested in joining the online meditation group, don't hesitate to reach out. It's usually on Wednesday evenings. However, that might change over the summer. May also take a break over the summer, but it's a good time to practice with Sangha and just get on your cushion if you find that you have a hard time getting on your cushion. There's an Avatamsaka Sutra study group, and it's Thursday, June 13th from 7 to 9 p.m. at the temple. If you're interested, you can email Will Allington or Reverend Jueshin Su, who's here today. You can also just go talk to him about more information. We have our Grand Rapids Buddhist Temple board meeting, and that will be on Sunday, June 23rd, and Sangha members are invited to observe. That happens after service, 11:30 to 1 p.m. downstairs. You can also join via Google Meet. We have Reverend Kunga. His teaching monk ordination and potluck reception will be on Sunday, June 30th, following service. We have an upcoming summer silent retreat on Saturday, July 27th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and it meets here at the temple. Registration ends on Friday, July 26th. If you haven't been to one of our in-temple all-day practices together, we do lots of meditation. So we'd love to have you join us for that. We have our Buddhist-based recovery meetings On Mondays, 6:30 p.m., that's the meditation. 7 p.m. is the meeting, and it's here at the temple. Mondays, 6:30 p.m. at the Alano Club. What? Oh, Wednesday. Sorry. Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. at the Alano Club. And then on Fridays, they're meeting at Garfield Park at 10:05 a.m. That's when the meditation begins. And 10:30 a.m. is when the meeting begins. They're at the entrance off Madison Avenue Southeast near the playground, and bring a lawn chair or something to sit on. You can also join via Zoom. Any other announcements today? All right, I'll follow up with the last announcement. That is our announcement for Dana. Dana is the practice of generosity. You can practice that in many ways here at the temple. As always, you can donate monetary funds. You can do that through PayPal. If you're in temple, you can also drop off a few bucks at the box back there. All of that goes to support keeping this temple open. Anybody who volunteers or teaches here does not receive any kind of compensation for the work that is done. And if monetary donation is not something you're able to do, we also appreciate offerings of service or material goods. So toilet paper, paper towels, those kinds of things. In terms of service, as Nasanskara mentioned previously, we do have a group of individuals, we call them our Dharma disciples, that come together and do things like the incense lighting and greeting and helping set up temple in the morning. So if that's something that you'd be interested in formally signing up for, talk to him. Otherwise, just show up sometime around 9 a.m. and help get the Dharma hall ready with everybody who's here. And I think that's it. Cool. Don't forget to join us downstairs for tea. There's also some muffins that I brought downstairs. So if you're interested in a little snack before you go, there's muffins and tangerines down there. And at this time, we're going to stand up and do our gathas together. Just as a reminder, as you get ready to leave, if you could just rearrange your cushion, maybe make sure it's nice and orderly and in line, fluff up your cushion, and then hand your chant book to anybody or to somebody who's collecting them. Whew, that was a marathon. And together we say, for all unskillful actions ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thoughts, now I atone for them all. Vast is the robe of compassion, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Buddha's teachings for the benefit of all sentient beings. All beings, one body, I vow to liberate. Endless blind passions, I vow to uproot. Dharma gates without number, I vow to penetrate. The great way of Buddha, I vow to attain. And to this side of the room, to this side of the room, and we bow. Thank you, everyone. Remember to practice emptiness in your challenging moments.